All right, welcome back. Now, somebody left a comment in the comment section of one of my videos. They said that coons are coming out the woodworks. They said there's a lot of coons that are just coming out. And I want to tell y'all where they're coming from. Well, obviously, they've always been there. But I want to explain to you why so many black men are coons. And there's a lot of them. The majority of black men have a coon spirit. Let me just put it out there. Many of these pro-black acting black men, they're actually coons. They got a coon spirit. As you all might have guessed, I have asked a number of black men so far whether or not they thought Charlie Kirk was a racist. Almost all of them said no. And some of the answers got real coon-like. Like the coonery was cranked up. You know, talking about how Charlie Kirk had black friends and all this kind of stuff. But my coon test is irrefutable. I need people to understand that. There's nobody walking this earth who will ever debunk my coon test. Because you see, I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible for all of you to understand. Listen closely.
What percentage, if you were to guess, of black kids grow up with both a mom and a dad?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's stop it right there. What business is that of yours? To all the white supremacists in the chat room and maybe even in the comment section, how is this any of your business? What in the world does single black women have to do with you? Tell me.
25%. So 3 out of 4 black kids in America grow up without a father.
What is that to you? How is that any of your business? You see, this is what real men say in response to a white man even talking about our issues, our dysfunctions. Who are you? And how is that any of your business? Answer that question and make it make sense. And again, you white supremacists who listen to this channel, you're free to answer that question as well. But I'll give you the answer. It is none of your business whatsoever. Single black mothers have no impact on your life at all. I don't want to hear nothing about you paying welfare taxes because you're paying them for white folk too. And from what I understand, there are more white people on welfare. I don't want to hear it. That is absolutely none of your business. There is not a white man walking this earth who has the right to go around giving lectures about how immoral black people are, how dysfunctional black people are. You can't even make it make sense. I don't care what you are, a college professor. Any of you who are college professors, you hold a degree, go ahead and answer that question. Make it make sense. Make it make logical sense. It's none of your business. Do you know why? You know the main reason why it's none of your business? It has no impact on your life, and you are a white man with a whole slew of your own problems amongst your own community, your own people, your own family. Who are you to go around talking about our issues as if you are a black man? Make it make sense. Single mothers have no impact on your life whatsoever. You want to challenge that? How? What are you going to say? I tell you, the only thing that you can say is that, hey, those children raised by single mothers have a higher chance of becoming criminals. Stop. So do your kids who get molested. Now what? But you don't see us running around giving lectures because we worried about your molested kids growing up robbing us. Again, how is any of that you said about black people any of your business whatsoever? There is not one white person who can give a logical answer to that. Not one. And I believe that the reason why so few black men think like real men is because Keisha raised so many black men. And these black men grew up seeing their mothers admire, respect, worship Brads. And it had an effect on them. I said it a long time ago. Black women have an effect on us even as men. Even more so if she is a single mother and she raises you. And it doesn't matter what they say. Don't look at it solely as Charlie Kirk. Listen to this right here. Listen to this right here.
If you want a ticket into middle-class America, put a mom and a dad in a home.
I can understand that, but I'd say, like, as things stand, that's not how they are, and there's so many, like, building blocks and so many roadblocks that have been placed, and I'm just curious, like, what substantive policy would you actually recommend?
So I am curious, what is the building block that is preventing black men to stay with the women they impregnate? I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. That phrase right there, he just made an accusation against all black men. Again, who are you to make that accusation? I keep telling people, Charlie Kirk and other white men like him, they assume the position of a slave master. What y'all don't understand is that white supremacists, they are extremely mindful of slavery and they're motivated by it. They study it and research it. And what they study is the mindset of the slave masters. And they want badly to duplicate it, to be in their shoes, to exercise some type of complete superiority over black men, the same way slave masters did. And it amazes me that more black men don't see this, because again, if a black man went around giving moral lectures, criticizing black men of sleeping around and all this kind of stuff, and then you found out that that black man sleeps around, and that black man who's giving all these black people lectures, you find out that he's immoral, y'all would cancel him immediately. And in fact, y'all wouldn't even listen to him. You would ask him straight off the rip, what is your private life like? Who are you? We are quick, very quick, to question black men who try to give lectures. I didn't say be a preacher. I'm talking about giving lectures and actually making accusations, questioning your character, your personality, your morals. These brads are running around questioning black people's morals. And all of you coons sit there and act like they have the right to. You sit there and act like they have the authority to. Like a bunch of slaves. They would not tolerate that. We couldn't go around giving them moral lectures all in their business like this. This is straight up and down white supremacy. This is like overt. I'm playing the role of an overseer, a slave master. Again, slave masters used to project themselves as morally superior to their slaves. Non-stop. They used to always talk to them like kids. You're misbehaving, da-da-da. You're savage. Don't y'all remember? They used to call us savage and all this. That's an attack on our morals, on our character. And y'all co-sign with some random Brad whose people, understand, they talk about black people as a group. And when you look at them as a group, they have just as many and really more problems than us. I just showed the proof from the FBI's website that they lead in 99% of all different types of crime. Many are by far. And y'all still sit up there and accept them giving us moral lectures?
Let's say that somebody was coming into our church and they're black, and would they be eligible for membership in our church? Yes, they of course they would. They'd be eligible for membership in our church. But would they be permitted to participate in, embody, and practice what I would call black culture generally in our church? The answer is absolutely not. Why? Because the characteristics that mark black culture as a generalization, in the same way Paul's talking about Cretans on Crete, they are evil, murderous, violent, bestial people. They steal, they kill, they destroy. They are sinful to the core.
He said essentially the same things Charlie Kirk was saying. And you see the coon mentality, they only will say, oh, well, what they said was true, when most of the stuff that they were saying wasn't even true. But it's not about whether or not what they said was true. It's who are you with a whole slew of problems amongst your own people to give us moral lectures. Simple as that. Now, if you missed the video, shame on you. But I made a video going over this. Total arrests, white column here, black column here. They outdo blacks in almost every category. It's like all but one or two. All of these crimes, they outdo us. Don't talk to me about how blacks are 13% of the population. We are not. But you know, it wouldn't even matter if we were. The fact will remain, y'all got all these problems on top of the CP problem, the CHILD corn problem, the problem of it white males violating their own kids. Do you know, not only do they lead by far, like by far, in all of these types of crimes and abuse against youngsters, do you know it's usually their own kids that they violate, that they abuse? You really gonna sit there and listen to people like that make sweeping indictments and compare a group of people like that to us? Are you out of your mind? And understand, Charlie Kirk used to compare whites to blacks. They all do. They all do. And you look at the fact that white men make up 29%, allegedly, of the population, yet account for 77% of trafficking, CHILD corn, downloading it. Over 100,000 downloads in 30 days. Y'all really gonna sit up there and listen to a group of people like that give us a moral lecture? You're slave-minded. You're slave-minded. Listen, Brad. You got your own problems. You got certain problems that we don't even have. In your group, violating youngsters is so prevalent, you all have developed trafficking rings, basically trafficking organizations, PDF file rings. You ever heard of that? You have even gangs. Are you out of your mind? You as a group of black men, you gonna listen to a group of men like this give you a moral lecture? If you go to a black community and you try to ask where are the youngsters for sale so you can do this and that with them, you will get beaten up. I don't care what black American hood you go to, you're going to get beaten up. It's not a part of our culture. And you're going to listen to a group of men like that tell you that you're immoral because you abandoned your kids, which is a lie. But even if it were true, even if you left your kids, dude, you guys over there got your own problems. And you need to worry about your own problems, not ours. You are not our overseer. And this is especially the case when you look at the fact that black men already talk about everything Charlie Kirk brought up. In fact, where do you think he got those talking points from? Black men been talking about this for so long. Ever since we've had the internet. This has been a subject for black men. What makes you think we need Brad's help? You see, you only appreciate Brad getting up there like the Charlie Kirk types if you're a coon, most likely raised by a Brad worshiping Keisha. These are the facts. This is what it is. I know it's harsh truth, harsh reality.
75% of black youth are 75% of black youth are raised without a father in the home. Is that a concern for you?
77%. 77%. White men make up 77% of all these horrible, inhumane, immoral crimes against youngsters. But again, how is that any of your business? The only way Charlie Kirk and his people could say that it's their business is to say well, those kids have a higher chance of growing up to be criminals. So do your kids when you're violating them. So you have no moral authority over us. Period. The only way a group of men could lecture to another group of men like that is if they had moral authority over them. As if those men were engaged in all kinds of filth and the other group were not. It is hard to look at so many black men with this coonish mentality. Again, how is this any of your business?
Of course, it's a concern because I think that there's economic handicaps that occur.
You don't have to be rich to stay with the person you impregnate.
But you discount that
Again, he was committed to making these false accusations against all black men. And y'all sit there and accept that? Well over 90% of thousands of black women confessed that they left their kid's father. We have proof in terms of divorces where they file for divorce 75% of the time. What he said wasn't even true. But he's trying to push it as if single mothers, all of them, their dads abandoned them. Don't you know that puts us right back to square one? All this work black men have been putting in to clear our name. Y'all just gonna sit back and allow all of that to be erased. Keisha's okay with that. That's why I say these black men was most likely raised by Keisha. They got this coon spirit and they don't even know it. They're not even aware of it. Like I said, some of them think they pro-black. Absolutely crazy. You listening to men who have the highest chance of being at home doing things to their kids, watching the most immoral stuff and getting off to it on their computers. Y'all really gonna collectively listen? Are y'all, Lord, I'm turning in my black card. I am far beyond disgusted. And better yet, let me just say, I'm even more proud of the black men who saw right through this and did not even a little bit accept any of this criticism and don't accept it, because again, there are millions of Charlie Kirk types. They're everywhere. And I don't care if you're talking about people like Nick Fuentes, who's Hispanic. Do you really want to get started on Mexico? Nobody on this earth has the moral authority to give us moral lectures. Because that's basically what all this is. Questioning our morals. Oh, you left your kids. That's immoral. Okay, you did something else to your kids. That's immoral. What's worse? Yeah, let me ask you a question. What's worse? A father not being in the home at all? Or a father being in the home doing all these vile, evil things to you. Creeping in your bedroom late at night. You're only 5 years old. I understand many of these dudes carry out this behavior against infants. What's worse? I don't know about you, but I would prefer the father not be there at all. What moral grounds does any white man have to go around this country giving us moral lectures and comparing the group that he belongs to black men to prove that we are morally inferior? Because I understand that's what they do. They base their accusation of moral inferiority on the comparison themselves to us. Black men, your minds is slipping away from you. At least in that regard. But if you're lost in this regard, if a Brad can just straight up assume the position and literally act like your slave master, then there's a glaring problem. Each and every one of these Brads, when they start talking like this, as if they're a black man themselves, they're pretending to be your slave master. They're saying, boy, you need to get your act together. Boy, stop being such a savage, boy. Such a degenerate. All the while, he's even more criminal than you. And y'all all know this is the truth. Black Americans make up at least 40% of this country, if not 50 or more. So these stats where they lead are genuine. They're pretty much spot on. There ain't no, well, you're 13% and you commit that much. Even if you were 13%, again, look at these. Aggravated assault. Isn't this one of the most popular accusations that we're violent? You just heard that one Brad say it. That we're evil and violent. Compare 169,000 to 91,000. Even if we were 13%, they're outdoing us. So you're going to listen to a group of men who are more violent, who commit far more rapes and far more rapes against the most vulnerable demographic. You're going to listen to a group of men who commit more burglaries, larceny theft, motor vehicle theft. You're going to listen to a group of men like this compare themselves to you and give you a moral lecture. You got a coon spirit. Black men, you got to exercise that out of your body right now. That's unacceptable, period. I don't care who you are. You're going to listen to a group of men who have a higher rate of violent crime, property crime, arson, forgery, fraud, embezzlement, stolen property, both buying and receiving, vandalism. They're outdoing black Americans in all of these categories. Sex offenses except rape and prostitution. So this doesn't even include the CP and CHILD corn. And they're still outdoing us by far. drug abuse. That's ridiculous right there. You gonna listen to a group of men like this compare themselves to us and give us a moral lecture? I'm sorry, bro. You wrong. And each and every one of you need to check that. You running around here saying, oh, Charlie wasn't a racist. That's coon energy. That's slave energy right there. Look at this degeneracy. They beating us in all these categories. Drunkenness. Are you kidding? Driving under the influence. Look at this. Are you out of your mind? Ain't no group of men like this about to give no lecture to nobody about nothing. You better sit down, Brad, and go to therapy. Learn how to stop looking at youngsters, you flippin' degenerate. We need to go around giving lectures to y'all and about y'all. Who are you talking to? If you don't get out my face, if you don't sit down and shut up, you want to go give a lecture? You lecture your own people and nobody other than your own people. Do you understand that, Brad? Do any of you retarded Brads got anything to say about anything I just said? I'm going to stay on y'all necks. For as long as I hear content like this, I'm going to be on y'all's necks. And ain't none of you going to have nothing to say about it. Because you know I'm telling the truth.
This is the question about systemic racism. What law that is in practice today actively discriminates against black people?
Again, never allow them to create the narrative. See how slick he did that? He tried to define systemic racism. And he defined it in a way that he knew there's no laws that explicitly discriminate based on race. So you have no choice but to say none. But that's not what systemic racism is. It got nothing to do with laws on the books. You don't need laws on the books to do things. You all can rally behind whites. You don't need a law to do that. Cops don't need a law to target black people. You don't need a law on the books to do any of the type of racist things that are done on a daily basis. I'm showing y'all that you gotta stop allowing these white supremacist degenerates to define things. Dr. Amos Wilson used to talk about this all the time. The power of definition. You see it in the very beginning of the Bible. Adam did what? He named. The first thing he did, he named everything. Because that represents power. And when you define things, that's absolute power. They are able to blind you to dozens of examples of racism just by saying what he said right there.
Against black people. So the question A actively discriminates against black people. So
That's all they got to say. And suddenly your mind just goes blank. And you can't recall any examples of racism at all. That is insane to me. You apply, they throw your application away. Don't need a law in the book. they decide to promote a white person who has accomplished far less, nowhere near as qualified as you, nowhere near as efficient as you. They get promoted over you, though. Don't need no law in the book to do that. That's systemic racism. Yeah, they'll hire you just so they won't look racist. But you ain't moving up nowhere. And if you do, we're going to give you hell. We're going to put far more stress on you than we put on a white person. Don't need no law in the book to do that. And notice, many of you blacks listening, you can relate to what I'm saying. Y'all got to exercise this coon spirit out your body.
All right, you seem pretty educated on foreign and domestic policies.
This is embarrassing. I can't even look at that. I can't even look at that. In fact, now this is hard. Listen to this.
I've been researching Black Lives Matter, and I've been understanding the politics and how they're funded by white liberals. They're white liberals in blackface. Because they're white liberals in blackface. When I say that, it's because the white liberals is all about feminism, LGBT. White liberals don't really care about black people.
That's
I
correct.
realize white liberals don't really care about me, bro.
That's correct.
I'm off the plantation, bro.
Y'all see what I'm talking about? He wanted a pat on the back from white daddy. This is sad. This is painful to watch. This is where black men are headed. You trying to appease Brad? Yeah, liberals don't care about black people, but neither do Republicans. In the world, this is sad. You think the Charlie Kirk types love you?
I'm off the plantation, bro.
That's too cringe for me to even finish. And this is less than a minute. And this is too cringe. Yeah, they're laughing and clapping, but do you think they view this black man as their intellectual equal? Or as like a mascot? For the record, every Brad who talks and says the things that Charlie Kirk said is a racist white supremacist. Any and all black men who fail to see that, you got some coon in you, bro. These men, and no man, no group of men on this earth has the moral authority or no other type of authority to give black men, American men, no moral lecture. Because you know what? There are several countries that are around this world who got the same issues that Brad got that you really don't find in black America. This is not the only country where you find these PDF file rings. They're in several countries around the world. Ain't no group of men like that gonna lecture me on nothing. I'm gonna lecture you on 5 knuckles if you don't get out my face. Please, black men, be men. Stop doing this to yourselves. I'll leave it there.